We're going to be working on the drawing on page 3-22 of your book, chapter 3, page 22, the gasket design. Now this design is in inches. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure or set up a drawing that's actually in inches. So we can hit File, New, Start from Scratch, choose Imperial, OK. Make sure you're set for inches. Actually, I didn't look at that to make sure that I was, so I'm going to start over again. File, New. I am set to Imperial for feet and inches, so I hit OK. And I'm just going to delete this drawing 1. So I only have one drawing. It makes going back and forth between the drawing and the image a little easier for me. Now we're going to set this up so that we're using our grid. And you'll see in this particular drawing how much easier and helpful it is to use our grid. So the first thing we need to do is we need to open up our drafting settings. So to open up drafting settings, we can go to Tools and then open drafting settings here. I also want to show you an alternative way is to come down to one of these downward arrows, click on it. We can open up Snap Settings, or alternatively, I don't believe this one does it. Yes, this one will do it too. Open up Tracking Settings, or over here we can open up Object Snap Settings. Any one of these opens up drafting settings. Now we want to be on Snap and Grid. We want to turn on our snap. We want to make sure we're set to Grid Snap. We want to turn on our grid. And then we want to make sure that our grid X and Y are both set to 0.5. So that'll be 0.5 inches. And just as a reminder, I always make sure this enable dimension input when where possible is off. I just find it much easier to work with that turned off. And then we hit OK. So once you're done, you should find that this grid mode is lit up and turned on. Snap to drawing grid is on. And when you click on this, it should be on grid snap, not polar snap. So now when we look at our screen, we actually see a grid. Each of the major grids are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minor grids apart. Each minor grid is 0.5, so each major grid is 2.5 inches. Each minor grid is 1/2 inch. Now looking at our drawing, we're going to draw the outside of this drawing first. So to draw the outside of this drawing, we're going to start here and work our way around. So we're going to move in this direction. We're not going to worry about these rounded edges first yet. We'll take care of those later. So we're just going to draw squared edges. So we're going to move over here by 6. Then we're going to move up by 2.5, because if the total is 4.5 and this is 2, we must have 2.5 here and 2 inches here. You move over 6, up by 2.5, over by 1, and then up by 2. And here we don't know how far we're going to move over, so we're just going to move over an arbitrary amount. We'll just move over an inch for now. So over by 6, up by 2.5, over by 1, up by 2, and then over 1. Come to our drawing, and we really can start anywhere. I'm going to start right on this grid line here. So real quickly, I can count off these blocks: 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Each major is 2.5, so this has to be 5, 5.5, 6. I haven't clicked the mouse button yet, or hit a mouse button. Now I hit my left mouse button, and I finish that line, I start going up. So again, I need to go up by 2.5. So 2.5 is exactly one major grid line. So I can just move up to that line. We can see it says 2.5. Hit my mouse button, I need to move over by 1, so 2 small grid lines. Now I need to move over by 2, move up by 2, so 4 small grid lines. And I said we'll just move over by, well, I said 1, let's move over by 2.5. So just move over by there, hit my mouse button, and then hit escape to stop. Now we'll come back over here. We note that we have this circle here, the radius of 1.5, and it's located 7.5 inches from this corner. So that's pretty easy to place. We come to AutoCAD. We set up our circle radius. We come over here and we can just use our tracking. So once we get the our tracking line, circle radius. Once we get our tracking line, we can just start moving over. So we know that this is 5, this is 7.5. I'm sorry, that's 7. Right, because we actually start one block over from the major line. So that's 2.5. This would be 5. Now I lost the tracking line there because I moved around. I started moving around. So I can start again. I think I'll get the tracking line back. Yeah, I do get the tracking line back. So here's 5. And here's 7.5. But I don't actually so much need the tracking line because the blocks would tell me exactly where to go. So even without the tracking line, the block, I could use the grid to know exactly where I need to place this. So anyway, at this point, I hit the mouse button, the left mouse button, and that starts the circle. I need to type the radius. I type 1.5, and I hit enter. So now over here, I'm going to have a line that's going to end at the tangent. So I'm going to take a line. I'm going to start at this point. And then I'm going to come over here and click on the snap to tangent. And I see that tangent symbol. Now, what is going on here? You see, it wants to snap to grid. And I'm not actually sure if we're going to snap to tangent. I'm going to try it. We'll see what happens. Yeah, we will still snap to tangent. The better way to do it, however, is to actually turn off the snap to drawing grid. And let me show you why. If I turn off the snap to drawing grid, I'll delete this line and I'll do this over again. Draw a line. Start here. I come over and I click snap to tangent. Now I'm not fighting with AutoCAD that wants to get this line to snap right to a grid, one of those grid points. So this is a much better way to do it. So I snap to the tangent there. Finally, to finish this outside portion, what we're going to do is we're going to use the extend. Now, extend is actually like trim. If we go to the trim menu, or up here, we can see there's a trim and an extend. And in the same respect, over here, under the trim command, we have the extend command. extends an object to meet the edge of another object. First select the boundaries, then enter and select the object that you want to extend.